You may have been noticing lately that the ruling class these days just kind of introduce stuff that no citizen wanted them to. We, the people of the European Union, didn't get a vote on the copyright directive. In fact, millions of people signed petitions and sent emails to their local MEPs demanding that it be rejected, but that didn't stop it from coming to pass. When the powers that be in Brussels want something, they don't ask permission, they just do it, and they'll even ignore the results of referendums when they don't go their way. In 1992, Denmark voted against the Maastricht Treaty. They were made to vote again. Ireland voted against the Nice Treaty in 2001, but we were also made to vote again. Similarly, in 2008, we had to vote again on the Lisbon Treaty when we rejected that. France voted against the EU constitution in 2005, but that result was just ignored. The Netherlands also rejected it in the same year, but they were also ignored. EU bureaucrats have done everything in their power to undermine the result of the Brexit referendum over what has been almost 3 years now. Recently, Guy Verhofstadt had the audacity to tweet the following in response to Turkey's President Erdogan wanting a rerun of the recent Istanbul elections. This outrageous decision highlights how Erdogan's Turkey is drifting towards a dictatorship. Under such leadership, accession talks are impossible. Full support to the Turkish people protesting for their democratic rights and for a free and open Turkey. Boy, we are reaching a level of hypocrisy here that shouldn't be possible. Guy Verhofstadt, a man who has previously said the following about the sovereignty of EU member states.
And that is the real problem, colleagues. Why there is such a problem in this crisis? Because member states are reluctant to transfer new sovereignty and powers to the European Union. And we all know that the only way out of this crisis is a new transfer of powers to the European Union and to the European institutions.
This guy also wants an EU army, just so you know. French Finance Minister Bruno Le Maire has said that the EU should become an empire. And now the EU wants to create a massive biometric database of all EU citizens. This is an article from Gizmodo. Say cheese, the EU is set to create one of Earth's biggest biometric databases. What could possibly go wrong? Never mind the fact that once again no EU citizen voted for this. The European Parliament has voted by a significant margin to streamline its systems for managing everything from travel to border security by amassing an enormous information database that will include biometric data and facial images, an issue that has raised significant alarm among privacy advocates. This system, called the Common Identity Repository, CIR, streamlines a number of functions, including the ability for officials to search a single database rather than multiple ones, with shared biometric data like fingerprints and images of faces, as well as a repository with personally identifying information like date of birth, passport numbers, and more. According to ZDNet, CIR comprises one of the biggest tracking databases on the planet. Every day, the European Union is beginning to sound more and more like communist China. Anyone else think that this biometric database is going to give rise to a European social credit system before too long? The CIR will also amass the records of more than 350 million people into a single database, containing the identifying information on both citizens and non-citizens of the EU, ZDNet reports. According to Politico Europe, the new system will grant officials access to a person's verified identity with a single fingerprint scan. The system has received significant criticism from those who argue that there are serious privacy rights at stake, with civil liberties advocacy group Statewatch asserting last year that it would lead to the creation of a Big Brother centralized EU state database. I think that's kind of the point, actually. Next up, we will likely see the introduction of mandatory biometric ID cards for all EU citizens. From Secure ID News, mandatory biometric ID cards for EU citizens move closer to reality. Biometric ID cards for EU citizens are a step closer to reality thanks to what officials of that body call an informal agreement about those identification documents. The cards would include digital storage of 2 fingerprints and a photo of the person carrying them, though the agreement does not include requirements for biometric databases. Does anyone remember about a decade ago when this kind of talk was considered the domain of paranoid, crackpot conspiracy theorists? And the reality is that technological advancements in our culture have normalized the idea of this kind of thing in the average person's mind. Increasingly, biometric, fingerprint ID, and facial recognition technology is becoming ubiquitous in our lives. Logging into your laptop or smartphone by using your fingerprint ID is becoming more and more common. Users can unlock their devices by looking at the front-facing camera on their phones. So the idea that personal identification at the level of the state would evolve to this degree seems like natural and logical progress in the minds of most people. And they'll focus on that. They'll focus on what they believe to be the benefits: more secure and robust personal identification and a reduction in identity theft, without also realizing that they're once again sacrificing their freedom for more security. Their society increasingly becomes more and more of a surveillance state. As I've said before, we do it to ourselves. We normalize Big Brother oversight in our lives every day by investing in the technology, by sacrificing our privacy for the convenience that the technology brings to our lives. The tracking device smartphone in your pocket, the smart speaker listening appliance in your home, devices with questionable security and privacy standards. Now, the same technologies used in our everyday consumer products are being employed by the state to track us, and we got no vote on this. It's my belief that if the state is just doing things autonomously, passing laws and regulations without the consent or consultation of the citizenry, then those laws and regulations are usually not in the best interests of the citizenry. It truly looks like a brave new world lies ahead. Thanks very much for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.